All right, in this video, we are going to talk about the comparable interface and how to implement that in your own classes. So I've got some code here already, and let's just walk through that, what I've got. So here I have a class called team, and this basically represents a soccer team. So I have some fields, name, wins, ties, losses, and points. I've got a constructor with parameters for name, wins, ties, and losses. And so this code here just sets the values of the fields to the values passed to the parameters. And then I can calculate points based on that. 3 points for a win and 1 point for a tie. All right, I've got a toString that controls how the class is printed out, or how the object's printed out. And then I've got some get and just get methods is all I have. All right, so over here in the demo class, the controller class, whatever you want to call it, I create some teams objects. I put them in an array, and then I print them out one per line. All right, and here's what I get. So they are basically in there in the array list, just like I put them in there. But what I want to do now is to get it so that that the standings here will be ordered by points. So the teams with the highest points will be in the highest list, and then it will descend from there. Okay. All right. So how you would do this in Java, or one of the best ways, in my opinion, to do this in Java is through an interface that's already in Java called comparable. Okay. And so you may let's there is a way to sort array lists, and that is through a class called collections. Oops. All right, and then it would be collections.sort, and then the name of your array lists. All right, so the name of my array list is teams. So all I did there was add this line to import the collections class, and then call this method in that class. But you're going to see that's not going to work. All right, so you can see we got this error. No suitable method found for sort array list team. All right, so basically Java is saying, hey, you asked me to sort these. I don't know how to sort them. Do I sort them by the name, the wins, the ties, the losses, the points? What? I don't know. Some things Java just knows how to sort naturally, like ints, right? Or strings, right? But with these, it doesn't. Okay. So in order to use this built-in sort for array lists, what has to happen is whatever type of objects are stored in your array list, it has to know how to sort them. And so the way it would do that is through what's called the comparable interface. So if you go here to the documentation, comparable, and there it is, java.lang.comparable. Okay, and you can see it is an interface, right? So interface called comparable. You see these little angle brackets, right, with a T in there. So it's a parameterized type, just like array lists. So we'll have to write it as comparable, and then angle brackets, and then the type of object that we want to sort out, which is a team object. Okay. So in order for this to work, I'm going to go ahead and uncomment that. In order for this to work, we're going to have to go over here to team, right, and implement the comparable interface. In the angle brackets, we will put what type of objects that we want to sort, and those are team objects, right? All right, so when we compile that, of course, we get that it does not override the abstract method compared to team, incomparable. So looking back at the documentation, right, you can see, if you scroll down, you can see all of the methods that are in the interface, and there's only one, comparable to, or sorry, compare to is the name of the method that we have to implement. It is a return type int. It has one parameter, and that will be a t object, whatever that is, right? That's the same object that is in the angle brackets up here. So for us, that's a team. So what we would do is go over to our team class and add that method to compare to. And remember, the parameter for the compare to method is the t, right, object, which for us is team, right? It's going to be the same as this up here. And give that parameter a name. All right, that is not going to compile exactly yet, right? Because there's no return statement in here. So just for right now, I'm just going to put return 1 and then explain to you what we have to do. So that'll get it compiling. Okay, all right, so now how does this compare to method work? So this explains to you how it works, right? This documentation here. So what it will do is the return type is an int. So you want to make a comparison between the object and whatever the parameter is, right? Whatever this object that we're working with and the a team object that comes in. All right. And so what we are going to do in this example is compare it by points. Okay. Okay. And so that's exactly how you would do to put these teams in the standing. If you just did it by hand, right, you would just compare the points, and whoever has the bigger points would go first, and then the next biggest, and so on and so forth. All right, so what I'm going to do here, right, is return, and I'm going to compare the points by subtracting them, right? So I'm going to do a team dot get points. So whatever team object comes in here, I'm getting the points out, and then I'm going to subtract the number of points that this object has. So you can just do points, or you could do this dot points. Right? So I'm subtracting these two. So if a team, right, the value of the parameter has more points than this object, where this that we're calling this from, then this is going to return a positive number. If this object has more points than the a team object, then it's going to return a negative number. And if they have exactly the same number of points, it's going to return 0. And so based on that value, right, that gets returned out of here, then this collections.sort method is going to sort based on those things. And so we'll see when we ran it before, right, it printed it out exactly in the same order that we had. So now let's compile that. Oops, it's get points. Okay, so you can see that compile. So now we've implemented this comparable interface, right? And if we wanted to compare by name, we could do it that way, or wins, or ties, or whatever else, right? You can make this as complicated as you want it to. So like if you had a bunch of tiebreaker rules, right, you could put those tiebreaker rules in here and have it automatically do the standings. That would take a lot more code, right? But that's how it works, okay? So however you want to compare those two teams, the logic of it would be contained in this compare team method. All right, so now we're going to run back and take a look at it. Hopefully I did it the right way. And we have the teams with most points on top, right? And the teams with the lowest points on the bottom. So you can see, right, it automatically sorts those out. Before, when we didn't have that compare to method in there, the collections .sort method did not know how to sort these. But that's all you have to do to make your own custom method or way of comparing your objects in here. Is you implement this interface and then put the code in this compare to on how you want to compare those, and then when you sort through this collections, it will automatically sort it the way you want to. So we could have done a team dot get wins minus this dot wins, or with ties, or with losses, or if we wanted to do it with the names, right, we could do that with the names as well by using the string methods, right? We could compare the two names in there. So however you want to do it, it's pretty much limitless on how you want to compare things. All right, and so that is it for the comparable interface.